family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
Goodness me, what a huge shock that news is. Joining me in the studio now is GB News' royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. I mean, that really is quite shocking news. It ends weeks now, if not months, of speculation about the situation. Cameron Walker, your thoughts?
It certainly does. I mean, this is clearly going to come as a huge shock to our GB News viewers and listeners. I think it's important to say from the offset that the Princess remains in good spirits and is very much focused on her recovery. I think we saw from her very open and honest statements there how much she appreciates the love and support that members of the public have given her over the last few months following that abdominal surgery and subsequent cancer diagnosis, and also taking the time there to explain to us, the British public, explaining the cancer to her 3 young children, George, Charlotte and Louis, but also the plea for privacy, saying that we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. So this is what we know. I can tell you that that video was filmed on Wednesday in Windsor. Of course, she underwent abdominal surgery, the Princess of Wales, in January. At the time, it was described as non-cancerous, and all the tests at the time were non-cancerous. And it was post-operative tests, I understand, that meant that cancer was subsequently discovered. So the Princess started her what's been described as preventative chemotherapy in late February. So that's just over, well, almost coming up to a month now. She's been undergoing this chemotherapy. I also understand the reason why she has decided to talk about this now is not because of all that speculation online. She hasn't been forced into disclosing this information, but she felt now is the right time for her and her family. Her 3 children have just broken up for their Easter holidays. Prince George is 10, Princess Charlotte 8, Prince Louis 5. And they wanted to, clearly, they needed to tell the world because they are the future, she is the future queen. But now they have time to protect their children in the privacy of their own home, and they're not having to go to school. So that is why I understand the Princess has decided to make this announcement this evening. And how unprecedented is this for a royal family member like this to be filming a video for us about their own health in this way? It's completely unprecedented. I can't think of a time where a member of the royal family has chosen to announce a medical diagnosis like this in person. Usually it's in the form of a palace statement from either Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace. If you think back to when the King's cancer diagnosis was made public, that was a statement from Buckingham Palace. So this is perhaps a modern way of doing things, and clearly the Princess will be aware about the speculation surrounding her health over the last couple of months. And she wouldn't be forced into anything. She would have wanted to do this. She would have done it on her own terms. And it was a very personable message. She wasn't dressed up in tiaras or anything. It was just her in a jeans and a jumper in her own garden. And lots of people that are tuning in right now, if you've just joined us, we have just played you a video. Don't worry, we will be playing that video again for you, so you will certainly see it. But that is Catherine, the Princess of Wales, saying that she is undergoing treatment now for a form of cancer. There'll be people wanting to know, what do we know? What is the cancer? How serious is the cancer? What do we know, Cameron? So Kensington Palace are not going into any further details about what type of cancer the princess has. The only information they're giving us is that it was discovered in post-operative tests following her major abdominal surgery in January at the London clinic. They really insist and stress, as the princess did herself in that video, that the princess, like all of us, have a right to medical privacy, and we don't really have a right to know exactly what cancer she has. They have given us a lot of information in terms of the kind of treatment she's undergoing. We know that it's preventative chemotherapy is what they're saying. I'm told that she started that treatment at the end of last month, and that treatment is ongoing. As to when that treatment ends, we do not have an answer for you. But what I can also tell you, another bit of speculation, which we've obviously talked about over the last few months, is Prince William pulling out of that memorial service for his godfather, King Constantine, last month. I can tell you, I understand that was because of the Princess of Wales's cancer diagnosis. We've just, in the last few moments, had a message from the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and he said that the Princess of Wales has the love and support of the whole country after she announced she has clearly undergone treatments for cancer.
Yes, very shocking news. I think that word cancer, it is always shocking. I mean, I've had that word said about myself, and it stops you in your tracks. And of course, your mind can go crazy, especially when you're so young, 42, of course, as Catherine is, with such little children. They're so small, as we've just been saying, 10, 8 and 5. We'll be focusing on this story for the next hour. If you've just joined us, don't worry, I'll be playing that video in just a few moments. We'll be getting reaction from that. Alongside me tonight, of course, Cameron Walker, our royal editor there, and also keeping me company, the Conservative life peer in the House of Lords, Daniel Moylan, and alongside him, the political commentator, Jonathan Liss. Daniel, I'll start with you. This is shocking news, isn't it? It's
shocking news, and it's very sad. And for any family to have a diagnosis like this is obviously something that's going to shake them all. And I do strongly believe that people are entitled to a very high level of privacy about their medical conditions, and that I know that if you're a member of the royal family, you can't be entirely private. But I do think we should respect Princess of Wales' privacy about all of this and allow her to protect her own family and look after her young children while she recovers, as I hope she will.
And this is one of the things that I want to get into with you guys at home over the course of the hour, because the speculation about what's going on has just been off the charts, hasn't it? It's just, it must be so unpleasant for them to be a part of that. And now we've got this update. Is it enough for people? Will people now finally kind of just put a sock in it, respect Catherine and let her heal and get well? How much information should we be entitled to? How much is too much? You tell me your thoughts, gbviews@gbnews.com. I know that this news will really have affected many of you at home. I will bring you into the conversation as we progress. But for now, let me cross live to the royal commentator, Michael Cole. Good evening to you, Michael. Very sad and shocking news tonight. Your reaction to it?
It's terrible news, and I think our thoughts must obviously go to the princess herself and her family. You can see how the strain has been telling on Prince William, although he's kept going and he's been very affable and he's been very kind, but that's always at the forefront of his mind, his wife and her condition. I think it's worth wondering whether it was the alleged data breach at the London clinic may have brought forward what was going to be done anyway. Perhaps the princess felt that in case there was a leak in American newspapers and American news media, American gossip channels about this, had that information been leaked and perhaps sold on, maybe that brought this forward. I think it's also, when we're thinking about America, wondering what the people in Montecito are thinking. Their brother and sister-in-law, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who've said some very unkind, untrue, cruel and heartless things about the woman we see there walking with her 2 sons on the left of the picture. I wonder if they're wondering whether it was wise to say what they've said. Also, it's been notable that they have never, since she went into hospital on the 16th of January for the procedure, for the surgery, abdominal surgery as it was described at the time, they haven't said one single word of concern or comfort or encouragement to the princess. Maybe they will think again about their conduct because Prince Harry was very, very close to the woman we see there sitting with the daffodils behind her, making her statement after they were married in 2011. Next month we'll see the 13th wedding anniversary of the Prince and Princess of Wales, as they now are. Of course, when they were married, they were Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. I think the statement was very well delivered. It was very dignified. It was absolutely appropriate. I've written and I've said on your channel that I felt that it would have been a good thing because of the trolls, because of all the speculation, because of all the hurtful speculation that's been going on, that they should have come forward with a short, dignified statement, not going into any great detail, but just telling us what's going on and what the problem is. And that is exactly what the princess has now done. I think that should shut up. I certainly hope it shuts up the trolls. Maybe it won't stop them, but it will stop them being believed. The princess has made it known that she has cancer. It's a terrible thing for any mother and woman to have to say, and to have to say it publicly, but she's done so well. She's enhanced her reputation, I think, with the world, and all we can do is wish her the very best of good fortune from now on.
Michael Cole, thank you very much for your time and your insight there. I did mention that Rishi Sunak, of course, has sent his condolences, his thoughts as well. He says that actually Catherine has showed tremendous bravery with her statement today. In recent weeks, she has been subjected to intense scrutiny and has been unfairly treated by certain sections of the media around the world and on social media. When it comes to matters of health, says Rishi Sunak, like anyone else, she must be afforded the privacy to focus on her treatment and be with her loving family. I know I speak for the whole country in wishing her a full and speedy recovery, and I look forward to seeing her back in action when she is ready. I shall play this video in just a second, but before I do, Jonathan Liss, a reaction from you.
Well, I agree with everything that Rishi Sunak said. This is a very brave statement by Catherine. It's an intensely private thing. When you're diagnosed with cancer, I had cancer when I was 28, and I wouldn't have wanted to talk about it on television at that time. Mine was treated very quickly, and I was completely fine. But you know, that I was also offered that preventative chemotherapy, and it's always a choice about whether you're going to have that or whether you choose not to. And I think it's important that she has shared that with us as well. Obviously, there's a balance with these things about how much you want to share, because you know, if you give some information, then people will always want more. I think this was a really balanced speech, and it was quite moving as well to hear someone talk about this in this way. And I suppose the nearest comparison I could think of was the Queen's speech after Diana died, which I can just about remember, when that was also, it kind of felt, although Cameron said that it wasn't the case, that there was a kind of forcing almost of hands but it certainly feels as though something had to give, because there was so much pressure mounting and so much frenzied speculation. But obviously that was also another really dramatic thing.
Indeed. If you are just joining us, we started the programme tonight with a video to you from Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Let's listen.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
Very shocking and sad news there. Nigel, one of my viewers, says, I am absolutely in bits. He says, I cannot believe how hard this news has hit me. He says, I'm sitting here as a 70-year-old man in tears. And I've got to say, so many of you getting in touch. Victoria says, what an absolute shock. Please, I pray to God she'll be better soon. I'm wishing her a very speedy recovery. Bobby says, Michelle, please, can you pass our thoughts on to our Princess of Wales? Carol says how awful that she's felt that she has to go and give this statement. She says, Carol, I hope everybody respects and gives her the peace that she deserves. That sentiment is coming through quite a lot, actually. So many of you saying you think it's very sad that she's had to do this. God bless Princess Catherine. That sentiment is coming through thick and fast. Linda says, I've got tears in my eyes. I hope everybody now leaves her alone and leaves her to recover. Cameron Walker.
So I can tell you that His Majesty the King and Queen have both been informed but ahead of this statement about the Princess of Wales's cancer diagnosis, and a lot of GB News viewers there asking that, well, why is it that she feels she has to talk about her cancer diagnosis? And I suspect, although of course she has her own free will, it is completely up to her. But if you remember, following her abdominal surgery in January, Kensington Palace released a statement saying that we would expect to see the Princess of Wales back on public duties after Easter. I understand that there's a big question mark over that now. I also know for sure that Princess Catherine and indeed Prince William and the children will not be attending that Easter Sunday service in St George's Chapel in Windsor. So I think the timescale as to when the Princess is going to be out and about on engagements is a bit unclear. But I also understand that if she feels up to it, she may well decide to attend odd engagements here and there. But in terms of full-time public duties, I don't see that happening at the timescale that Kensington Palace gave us in January.
Back to your reactions at home. Ian says, I am writing this to you in a stream of tears. I really wish Catherine a full recovery, and I wish all of the children and everybody such a lot of love. I mean, the sense of shock that's coming through the inbox from lots of you at home. Stephen says, God bless her and our King Charles. I pray to God that both of them make a full recovery. God bless all of you, says Stephen. Of course, as well, we reference there our King, of course, with cancer. Let's cross live to the royal commentator, Sarah Louise Robertson. Good evening to you. Your reaction to the shocking and sad news tonight.
Good evening to you. I'm really shocked and just very, very, very upset, worried, concerned. I think this, like everybody else, this news has just blown us really all away, and especially in light of the conspiracy theories and the horrible rumours that have been circulating on the internet over the last couple of weeks. Just to see Princess Catherine there, sitting there, you can see she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. She just looks heartbroken. And it was a very emotional message hearing that. And as I say, an absolute shock. We did ask, I mean, I know the royal correspondents, we've been in touch with the palace. People did put to the palace a few months ago, did the Princess of Wales have cancer? And we were told that there was no tumours. But clearly they didn't know themselves at that time. And it's something that she's wanted to keep private, understandably, until she came to terms with it herself and her family. But it's absolutely astonishing to have King Charles to have cancer and then now to have the Princess of Wales. I just feel that right now, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders right now with the father who is poorly and his darling wife who's clearly very poorly. I mean, you could probably tell by my voice, I'm still processing this news myself. And as I say, it truly is shocking and humbling. And I would like to say as well, I hope all of those wicked, wicked people who said the most heinous slurs this last few weeks, I hope they're hanging their heads in shame right now for the disgusting things that have been going around on the internet. I really do. And for all the people who are very worried and concerned, who adore the princess, you know, they themselves will be sending all their love and compassion to her as she fights this disease.
Indeed, thank you. That's Sarah Louise Robertson. Thank you for now. Sir Keir Starmer, he has reacted to the news and issued a statement. He says, on behalf of the whole Labour Party, I want to send my very best wishes to Her Royal Highness at this distressing time. Our thoughts are with the whole royal family as they come to terms with the news and as they support the Princess of Wales through her treatment and recovery. Any cancer diagnosis is shocking, but I can only imagine the added stress of receiving that news amid the lurid speculation that we've seen in recent weeks. Their Royal Highnesses are entitled to privacy and, like any parents, they will have waited to choose the right moment to tell their children. I'm heartened, he says, by the Princess of Wales' optimistic tone and her message of faith and hope. Her Royal Highness will be in our thoughts and prayers as she progresses through her treatment with the love and support of not just her whole family, but the whole nation too. And I can tell you now, my inbox really is echoing that sentiment. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you can get hold of me tonight. Pauline in Scotland, she says tears are flowing in our family right now. And Jonathan, this whole sentiment about the way people have been behaving on social media in recent weeks and months, it has been pretty horrific, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's... I think that there are some people who will be looking at some of the things that they've said in the last couple of months who'll be feeling a little bit sheepish at best right now. I think the problem is that there was such a vacuum, and with the vacuum it gets filled. That doesn't excuse people being vicious online, as always, but I do think that there are questions that we might ask about Kensington Palace's media strategy. Obviously, we have a lot more information now, and it's a very difficult balance with someone's privacy and people's, just need to know what's happening, because obviously people are getting very worried that they hadn't seen the princess in such a long time. But yeah, it's been horrible seeing things online, and I can just echo what other people said, that hopefully now people leave them alone.
But do you think we're just becoming quite a self-entitled nation? Because, you say about there's this vacuum, and basically what we mean is that Kensington Palace didn't update us every nanosecond of the way. It was always the case that we knew that she would have this surgery, that she was going to recover from the surgery, and she would be back to work in or around the Easter time. So, I mean, that is a very clear direction and directive. I mean, what were people expecting? A daily, hourly, weekly update to satisfy, frankly, their nosiness?
I think that it came from a place of concern in many ways, didn't it?
Did it really?
Well, I think for some people, they wanted to know that she was all right, and very respectable journalists. I mean, Rachel Johnson wrote an article in the Evening Stand today about how she didn't think that it was really Kate in that video we saw of Kate and William at the flower shop the other day. So this is kind of like crossed over into a kind of mainstream comment. It's not just of online conspiracists who've been been talking about this. And so, it's a really difficult balance, isn't it, Michelle, about how you deal with people who are not just private human beings and they have private, human rights to go with that and the right to privacy, but they're also sort of tools of the state. This is going to be the future queen in the decades to come. And so there is always that balance with members of the royal family about how much the public has a right to know about their private lives.
And one of the things, it's coming through, Daniel, so thick and fast, is just how much this has touched people. And I think when it comes to the news and the things that we talk about and all the rest of it, ultimately, there isn't really nothing as important as good health. It is actually one of the most primary things that matters to everyone. And again, when you hear of somebody that I suppose in some ways we feel like we know the royal family, albeit perhaps a presented version of, but so many people do feel personally connected. Honestly, my inbox is absolutely filled with people, you at home, telling me that they're in tears at this news right now.
Yeah, well, there are two parts to it, aren't there? The first is that when you hear of any young woman who is afflicted with cancer, then there is a real sense that this is a tragedy, and especially a young mother, and it's partly because of her age, but it's also, I think, much more than that. It's because I think she's one of the most popular and admired members of the royal family, because she's kept her cool, her stability. I think. I have my own suspicion that she's actually doing a great deal to keep the royal family together and on the straight and narrow when they're being buffeted from all sorts of directions, including from, other members of the family. And so she's developed a great sense of affection and regard amongst the public at large. And I think they really do feel this for her.
Indeed. I can cross now to the royal biographer, Angela Levin. Angela, we've just been talking there about the fact that actually Catherine, Princess of Wales, is a really loved and admired member of the royal family. So this is a huge shock to so many people.
Yeah, it's a terrible shock. I mean, I want to cry myself. When you see somebody like that so dignified and so in control, more than me. I mean, it's quite extraordinary that she could speak like that, quietly, honourably, that she would say to, everyone who has got cancer, don't give in, you can be all right, you can be well. I mean, she's not just focusing on herself. She's not a me person. She's someone who operates for everybody, really. And it was very interesting when she talked about the 3 children, that she obviously was very careful to tell each of them slightly differently what she was, that she had cancer. And that, again, is completely not about me. It's about them and making sure that they are okay. I think she's just the most remarkable woman. We've known that, and we've never thought she's put a single foot wrong. And here she is in a very, very difficult situation, very young, obviously worried, and will have to go through this, all the medication that is necessary, that is very difficult to live with. And yet she's thinking about everyone around her, including us. I think it's amazing.
It certainly is. Angela Levin, thank you. Also, so many of you viewers at home are getting in touch and showing me. I mean, I'm getting so many pictures of your loved ones that have been affected by cancer as well. Andrew, I'm just looking at the one that you sent to me of your wife, Amanda. It is, isn't it? It is quite emotional because I think so many people, so many families, so many of us get impacted by cancer, don't we? That word, it's just terrifying, isn't it? If you're just joining us, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, she is being treated for cancer. Let's just listen to the message that she sent to us.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
One of my viewers, Barbara, says, Michelle, I'm in tears, and this is the first time, she says, that I have ever cried for a public figure. Russell in Canterbury says, Michelle, no ifs or buts. Princess Catherine is the people's princess. And I think that is really quite powerful. Those final words there, Cameron, you know, she's really reaching out to each and every single person. So many families now affected by cancer. That strong message there. Do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. You are not alone.
Yeah, and as Angela Levin said earlier, the princess clearly here is not just thinking about herself, but she is acknowledging everybody around the country who has clearly at some point probably been affected by cancer, and she chose to end her message by talking of others and thinking of others. And it was clearly a very emotional message. In just the tone of the princess's voice, you can tell these are words she truly means. She's not reading a script. She truly means the words she is saying. And we talked earlier about the communications strategy of the prince and princess, and whether it's the right level of information or not the right level of information. I think they take what the wishes of what they call their principals, so the Prince and Princess of Wales. And in her message that we just heard there, the princess asks us for privacy for her and her family to recover. And I think that's clearly what they're going with.
And I mean, we're sharing this picture. If you're listening on the radio, we're just playing, as we're talking, that picture. You're saying about privacy, Cameron. That picture there was analysed to within an inch. Literally I don't think there was a pixel that wasn't put under the microscope. It was absolutely ridiculous. One of my viewers, Leslie, has said, you know, can we just ask you, what about William? Leslie is saying his dad and his wife have cancer and he is still expected to function. Yeah,
he has a huge burden on his shoulders here, and clearly it's been a huge shock for Prince William, and it's been a very difficult period for the whole Wales family. Clearly, the Prince will be focusing on supporting his wife and his 3 young children. Let's just give you the age again as we're seeing them on our screens. Prince George is only 10, Princess Charlotte is 8, Prince Louis is 5, he turns 6 next month. These are very young children who are having to process the news that their loving mother has been diagnosed with cancer. And clearly for Prince William, as well as being a father, he's also heir apparent and the future king, and his father himself has cancer, so a huge burden on his shoulders. And I think we're going to clearly see him trying to carefully balance his public and private life. And I suppose they would want us to clearly perhaps cut him a bit of slack here and respect his wishes.
Yeah, and I've got to, don't worry again, if you have just joined us, I will be replaying this video. You're not going to miss it. In this video, that she says, she talks about her children. She says it has taken them time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that is appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. She says, I've said to them, I am well and I'm getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, my body and my spirits. One of my viewers, Janice, has got in touch saying the news tonight was a big shock. She says she herself had cancer in 2018. She says she went through radiotherapy and chemotherapy. She says, but Michelle, I am a survivor and I feel great. She says we can fight cancer. And I mean, you know, I will be actually talking to a cancer specialist shortly, but we are really quite lucky in this country now that the treatments, the science, the research and all the rest of it that's gone into cancer now. You know, once upon a time, you know, when you heard that word, when you heard that diagnosis, it wasn't always happy endings, whereas now we are so fortunate in this country, aren't we, Cameron?
Absolutely, and the Princess clearly is going to be getting the best possible care that this country can offer, very similar to His Majesty the King. Kensington Palace are not going into details as to exactly where she is being treated or what treatment she is receiving, other than to say it is preventative chemotherapy. We know she started that preventative chemotherapy at the end of last month, so she's been undergoing treatment for around a month, and that treatment is ongoing. The cancer was discovered at the London clinic in post-operative tests, but as I say, Kensington Palace, similar to when she went in for abdominal surgery, are not going to be providing a running commentary. But I think if we can be positive for a moment, I know the Princess is in good spirits. She's focused on her recovery. She's 42, so she's not particularly old, and she's relatively fit and healthy before her abdominal surgery. And she clearly, from the message we just heard her say there on television, or if you're listening on radio, is one of being in good spirits, of positivity, but also at the same time clearly knowing that although she would love to be focusing on her work and her public duties and spending time with her children, she needs to focus on her recovery in the privacy of her own home, surrounded by her close family. And the reason, it's just for those of you tuning in, if you missed it, the reason the Princess has decided to tell us of her cancer diagnosis now is because the children, very young children, are now off school. So they are within the privacy of either Windsor, where they live in Windsor, or Norfolk, where they can just be with each other in private and not have any intrusion from either other children, other parents, or indeed the media and the public.
Yeah, one of my viewers, Sue, has been in touch saying how brave Kate is. My heart breaks for her. She says, I wish I could give her a big hug and I wish her a complete recovery. Sue says, I'm going through treatment myself for the second time. She says, stay strong and positive, Catherine, and we wish the same for you as well, Sue. You can join this conversation at home, GB Views. At GBNews.com, one of my viewers, Marion, has been in touch saying, Michelle, the tears are rolling down my face. I am so upset. Princess Catherine is the Queen of Hearts. She said it's also sad, especially, she says, what people have put her through. And she says, especially Prince Harry. Now, Jonathan, this will be an interesting thing because everyone will be thinking and looking at what is Prince Harry going to do?
Yeah, I think this is really going to be quite unfair, actually, because whatever Harry and Meghan do now, they'll be damned for it. If they convey their wishes in private, which obviously they will do, they are human beings, they are still related. It's unthinkable that Harry wouldn't reach out to Kate and William now. But if they just do that in private, they'll be accused of being heartless for not showing their emotions, because obviously everything has to be shown in public now. And if they put out a message on their own social media channels, they'll be accused of trying to hog the attention for themselves and sort of making it about them. So I really don't think they can win. But I think the really important thing to say is it's not about them. This story is not about Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan have not caused Catherine's cancer. There are people who hate Harry and Meghan, whatever they do, for whatever reason. That's not going to change, but this is not their story. It's not about them.
Yes, well, unfortunately, there'll be many people that do indeed make it about them. Daniel, where are you on that?
Well, I don't have any views on Harry and Meghan, but I do have just one thing I want to say about the statement made by the Princess of Wales, which is that she clearly has a positive attitude. She talks about her recovery. She's going into this looking forward to getting better. And that really is important, because I think, you know, many of us have been touched by cancer, what oncologists will tell you is that one of the most important things for putting cancer behind you and beating it is that you have a positive attitude to it. And she clearly has that. So I have great hopes for her recovery. And, of course, the fact that she's relatively young and previously, as far as we know, healthy, means that this could turn out to be a stage in her life, a tragic stage in her life, rather than anything worse than that.
Yes,
I was going to say, I think it's also important to mention that she is going to be fully supported by her extended family. So, of course, she will have the Prince William and her 3 children with her. But, of course, she's got 2 parents, Mike and Carol Middleton, a brother and a sister, Pippa and James, and their own children as well. So she clearly is going to have a lot of family support, as well as His Majesty the King and Queen, who have been informed too.
Yeah, Danielle, one of my viewers, has been in touch saying this is awful, that Princess Kate has had to do this. Danielle says, obviously trying to get the story out in the media before her children find out. Well, I've got to say, and I will replay this video in just a second, a couple of minutes, but just to make clear, Princess Catherine, she's told her children already. I mean, you know, I can't even... I've got a young child myself. I can't even imagine the kind of conversations and where you even begin with all of this. But, of course, her children have been told in advance of all of us finding out. My inbox is just absolutely filled with so many of you. Again, you're just sharing your sentiments, your respects, your regards. So many of you extending, of course, your regards to William as well. Dave has been in touch saying, I'm sitting here in absolute tears. You say, I'm a 62-year-old rough, tough northerner, and even I have been touched and brought to tears with this. I have never felt so upset and cried like this, except only ever the previous People's Princess Diana. And I think this is one of the things that I'm getting through in my inbox. It's just and I must say, I mean, Dave there says he's a rough, tough northern man. Well, I'm a rough, tough northern woman, and I don't cry for people that I don't know. That's not my style at all. But even I, Cameron, when I saw this video, and I think, and you put yourself into these situations, you think about your loved ones, you think about diagnoses that, you know, people that you care about might have had, you think about how you would talk to your children, you project your children into these scenarios. And it is just the grief that I'm feeling. There's no other word for it. Through my inbox, it's really coming from the people at home. I'll play this video for you again. If you've just tuned in, you've missed it. Don't worry, you will be seeing that. I'll play it for you in about a minute's time. But Cameron, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, but of course it is such a huge shock when all of this came out. And of course, because the princess is so universally loved, every opinion poll or most opinion polls showed the Princess of Wales is the most popular member and most loved member of the royal family amongst the British public. And it's somebody, because she is so young, that you almost take for granted sometimes that she is there and she's going to be there for the foreseeable future. So when we get a shock diagnosis such as this, I think it does really hit home that she is a human being like all of us, and she has vulnerabilities, and clearly she's having to go through the same kind of treatments that anybody who is diagnosed with cancer is going through, described as preventative chemotherapy. She's about a month into that treatment, and that is ongoing, and there is, at the moment, Kensington Palace aren't providing us with an update of when that treatment will end. But also, I think it's a testament to her character, because she's delivered this very powerful, moving statement, very emotional statement, but she clearly wants it to be as positive as possible for the public, to try and not cause them too much distress.
Indeed. And again, you can join this conversation tonight. So many of you are telling me that you feel she is your people's princess. Well, you can be part of this conversation. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you can reach me tonight. Beverly has done exactly that. She says, Michelle, this is so heartbreaking. I am crying while I'm writing to you. She says, I had terminal cervical cancer when I was 28. I had a hysterectomy and I had 2 young children at the time. She said I had chemo and radiotherapy. And she said, I fought for my life and I've lived to tell the tale. She says, I'm going to be 56 on Tuesday. God bless you. What a great happy birthday. Yeah, it's great. I love that. Please keep your views coming in. But for now, I will just replay you the video, the message to you from Princess Catherine. Let's listen.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
You're certainly not alone, and you can get in touch with me. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you reach me tonight. William says, Michelle, I'm just so shocked. I am in tears. How could this have happened to our princess? Jennifer, I'm terribly upset. I just want to be part of the conversation. I think that is when you get news like this. I think it has. It's shocked so many people. And I've got to say, this diagnosis, this really is part of a much broader kind of difficult year, if you like, for the royal family, Cameron.
It's been an incredibly difficult 3 months for the royal family. First, we had the King's diagnosis of an enlarged prostate. He went into hospital to have treatments on that. When he was in hospital for that, they discovered that he had been diagnosed with another form of cancer, and he's not on public engagements at the moment because of that. And Sarah, Duchess of York, as well. She has also been diagnosed with cancer, skin cancer this time. She's had breast cancer in the past. So that's 3 cancer diagnoses of members or extended members of the royal family within the space of 3 months. And then, of course, we had the incredibly sad death of Thomas Kingston, who's Prince William's cousin's husband. Clearly, the investigations and the inquest is ongoing into that one, but it clearly has been 3 months of tragedy. And in the centre of all of this is the members of the royal family who are having to keep calm and carry on for the sake of the British public and the country. At least the King is carrying on behind the scenes, working through his government red boxes, so he's still carrying out his constitutional roles. But there is a very, very slimmed down monarchy at the moment.
Yeah, there is. Phil says, please, can I just express my thoughts and prayers? That really is Anne in Yorkshire. She says, Michelle, the tears are flowing in my home. Please, can you send love from my home to theirs? And also, she says, for the King too. We all send all of our love. Please get well, all of you, as soon as possible. We love you, says Anne. Honestly, that sentiment is coming through so thick and fast. Now, I'm joined by a consultant oncologist, Carol Sikora now. Good evening to you, Carol.
Good evening.
I mean,
Hi.
This really is shocking news. So many people now are affected by cancer. It's just, I mean, it is so, I mean, Carol, I'm just sharing. I'm you know, inundated with imagery of loved ones that have survived cancer. Sadly, some of them haven't. But the cancer, you know, diagnosis now, science and medicine, etc., has evolved so much more now, hasn't it?
It has, and it's living longer, and cancer is predominantly a disease of older people. But as you can see with Kate, she's not an old woman, she's 42. So it does affect young people. Cancer Research UK calculated it affects 1 in 2 of us now. And, you know, I've been a consultant for over 40 years, and I've never seen so many people get cancer as now. It's just part of the aging process and part of the fact that our lifestyle's not the greatest, I guess.
Indeed, and it's really tough because, I mean, you know, it's very clear here that the princess wants to have her privacy respected. We're not going to find out about the type of cancer, the stage of cancer, or anything like that. But one of the things that Princess Catherine did say in the video, and again, if you've missed it, don't worry, I shall replay it again. She explains that she had the surgery. Apparently, everything went well. Her words was that it was successful, but then tests after the operation found that cancer had been present. She was therefore advised to undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy. Now, can you just explain to my viewers, myself as well, actually, what that actually is? What is preventative chemotherapy?
The medical term is adjuvant chemotherapy. It's thrown in after surgery, even though there may be no cancer detected because there are certain risk factors. Modern oncology, the treatment of cancer, involves assessing the risk of developing a recurrence. And if the risk is high, we recommend adjuvant chemotherapy, sometimes adjuvant radiotherapy, not so much for colon cancer, but for other areas in the body. So Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Smith have the same cancer, but they may get totally different aftercare with treatment. And that's good because it means we're personalizing the treatment. And one of the biggest growth areas in cancer is using molecular analysis and analyzing DNA sequences in the cancer and in the normal cells to tailor the treatment to the individual patient. And that will make cancer treatment not wasteful. In other words, no point having chemotherapy if you're going to get no benefit, which is what we did when I started. Now we only give it when we think a good benefit. The risk of recurrence is high, and therefore giving chemotherapy makes sense. And the outcomes are much better using this tailored type of treatment.
Yeah, and I mean, you speak of outcomes, Carol. We just touched upon it as well earlier on in our conversation, but so many people are getting in touch with me, telling me their stories about their loved ones who were diagnosed with awful advanced stage cancers. And yet I've just told the story of a viewer just then who had terminal cancer, and she fought it, and she's 56, actually. She was just telling me on Tuesday next week.
Yes, I mean, you know, I think what's great about Kate, the princess, is she's a good role model. She speaks well, she understands people, and a lot of people are very lonely when they get cancer. They don't know who to turn to. And families help, friends help, obviously staff, nurses, doctors all try and do their best. But it is a lonely journey for many people. You're on your own. And I think that it's so nice to see that the video that she made. It's just really genuine from the heart. I know it's scripted, but there's genuineness in that script.
Indeed, Carol Sikora, thank you very much for your time and for helping us to understand things a little better. Cameron Walker, you've just received a statement.
I have. I've received a statement from Buckingham Palace, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson. It says His Majesty the King is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Following their time in hospital together, of course, they were both at the London clinic receiving treatment. His Majesty has remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Both their Majesties, the King and Queen, will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family through this difficult time. So that is a statement from a Buckingham Palace spokesperson. And I think this just shows the close relationship between His Majesty the King and I quote, beloved daughter-in-law, Catherine, who are both currently receiving treatment for cancer.
Yeah, I mean, it is just such a bad run of luck, isn't it, Daniel? We've just been going through some of the kind of situations facing that family at the moment. I mean, that would be awful to face any family in private, but to do that on a public stage, I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
I don't know. It's very, very unfortunate. I mean, I think all the members of the royal family who are active members of the royal family accept that there is a part of their private life that is always going to have to be exposed to the public. You cannot be an entirely private person and a member of the royal family, an active member of the royal family. And they know that. And I think mentally they have some preparation for it. They obviously want to control to some extent the level of intrusion, and quite rightly so, because they're entitled to privacy just as much as anybody else. But I think they're probably better mentally prepared for some level of exposure to the public than others are, because they know it comes as part of the job. They've accepted that.
Of course, and kind of intrusion and privacy and all the rest of it. You know, we've heard that situation about people potentially trying to access, you know, Catherine's private medical records, and it reminded me of a situation about kind of 9 years ago, I think it was, where Kate Middleton, as was often referred to then, was in hospital, and I think it was severe morning sickness, and a radio station pranked and pretended to be the Queen and Prince Charles, and got through. The nurse passed them through to the nurse that was looking after, and that story had a horrendous outcome, Cameron.
Yeah, it certainly did. This was, I believe it was when the princess was pregnant with Prince George, her first child, and she had severe morning sickness. She went to King Edward VII Hospital in central London. And as you say, Michelle, very sadly and very inappropriate is the wrong word, but two Australian radio DJs phones the hospital pretending to be the Queen to be put through to the princess to ask how she was doing, Duchess of Cambridge at the time, of course. And the nurse did put her through to the room, and the princess's private nurse answered the call and then got suspicious and hung up. But the nurse that put the pranksters through to the room where the princess was staying, unfortunately ended up taking her own life.
She did.
And that is the dangers with this kind of speculation perhaps we've seen over the last few weeks. And then, of course, we had very serious allegations a few days ago of members of staff, unauthorised members of staff, attempting to access the Princess of Wales's medical notes. Investigations are ongoing. We don't have any confirmation. But clearly the Princess has been subject to a lot of hysteria and harassment to some extent over recent months. And she says in the statements the Princess has released this evening that she wishes for privacy, that some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatments. And I think that is clearly what she really wants, particularly in this 3 weeks as the news sinks in for her, her husband William and her 3 young children.
Indeed. You know, if you want to get in touch with me tonight, gbviews@gbnews.com is how you can reach me. David has done exactly that. He says, I'm absolutely devastated. He said, I will admit, he says, I'm a bloke and I'm sitting here absolutely crying for her, for William and for the family. I hope she knows that she is loved by everyone and that all of our thoughts and all of our love go to them, each and everyone else. He also says that also has similar news and who has perhaps been touched by her news tonight. And I can tell you, You really, really have been touched by this news tonight. So many people sending your prayers, your well wishes, your love, your respect. So many of you sharing your own stories as well. Janie, I really appreciate you've just told me the story of your mum and hair battle. And I really appreciate you sharing. I'll be bringing lots more of you into the conversation. But for now, if you are just tuning us, this is GB News. I am Michelle Dewberry, and tonight I can bring you a message from the Princess of Wales to you.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
You're certainly not alone, and I know that this news will have shocked many of you. If you are tuning in for Lee Anderson's programme tonight, understandably, we will not be crossing there. Instead, we will be bringing you all of the reaction to that very sad and shocking news there that we've just been hearing, that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has been treated. She's having cancer treatment. Rishi Sunak issued a statement in response, saying that the Princess of Wales has the love and support of the whole country as she continues her recovery. She has shown tremendous bravery with her statement today. In recent weeks, she has been subjected to intense scrutiny and has been unfairly treated by certain segments of the media around the world and, he says, on social media. When it comes to matters of health, like everybody else, she must be afforded the privacy to focus on her treatment and be with her loving family. I know I speak for the whole country, he says, in wishing her a full and speedy recovery, and I look forward to seeing her back in action when she is ready. So Keir Starmer, also, he has issued a statement. He says, on behalf of the whole Labour Party, I want to send my very best wishes to Her Royal Highness at this distressing time. Our thoughts are with the whole royal family as they come to terms with the news and as they support the Princess of Wales through her treatment and recovery. Any cancer diagnosis is shocking, but I can only imagine the added stress of receiving that news amid the lurid speculation we've seen in recent weeks. Their Royal Highnesses are entitled to privacy and, like any parents, they've waited to choose the right moment to tell their children. I'm heartened, he says, by the Princess of Wales' optimistic tone and her message of faith and hope. Her Royal Highness will be in our thoughts and prayers as she progresses through her treatment with the love and support of not just our whole family, but the whole nation too. You guys at home are absolutely echoing that sentiment. You can join this conversation tonight. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you reach me here in the studio, and I will involve you and I will share your messages as we progress through this next hour. But for now, I'm joined in the studio by our royal editor, Cameron Walker. Many, many people upset, shocked, distressed by this news tonight. What can you tell us?
It clearly is a big shock to our viewers and listeners. I think it's important to say at the start that the Princess appears to be in good spirits and she's focused on her recovery. And she says in her very moving statement and message there, she chose the appropriate time to let her 3 young children, Prince George, 10, Princess Charlotte, 8, and Prince Louis, 5, nearly 6, about this diagnosis, and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. We know that that video, which you've just seen, was taken on Wednesday, was recorded on Wednesday in Windsor. We know, just to recap a little bit, the Princess went into hospital to undergo planned abdominal surgery in January. At the time, they thought it wasn't cancerous, and it was only in post-operative tests that they discovered cancer was present. So at the end of last month, so end of February, the Princess started her preventative chemotherapy. So she's been having that for a few weeks, almost a month. In the last half an hour or so, we've had a statement from a Buckingham Palace spokesperson as well, saying that His Majesty the King, who of course is also undergoing cancer treatment at the moment, is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Of course, they were both in hospital at the same time, her recovering from abdominal surgery, him going in for a procedure to treat an enlarged prostate. So during that time together in hospital and after, His Majesty has remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Both Their Majesties, the King and Queen, will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family throughout this difficult time. Of course, Prince William is very much by his wife's side. We're told that the Princess says in her statements that she's been really comforted by William's support, and she's got her extended family as well, her 2 parents, Mike and Carol Middleton, her 2 siblings, James and Pippa as well, and Pippa has children too, and James has a little one on the way, or has already had it, I think, so had the child. So she's got a lot of family and support around her, but clearly still a very difficult news to take in and treatment ahead.
Indeed. One of my viewers, Patricia, says, Michelle, I can simply say I'm absolutely gutted. She says, God bless that brave, great girl. So many of you, I mean, your tributes are just flying in. You know, she's loved. Princess Catherine is absolutely loved. One of my viewers now, though, asks, how much more can the royal family take? There is, of course, so much affecting that family at the moment, and I'm joined now by the royal broadcaster, Rafe Hiddle-Mancu. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Michelle, on a sad evening.
It is a really sad evening. And Rafe, you know, my viewers are getting in touch, and it's just everybody's united in shock, distress, grief, and this sense of wanting this connection. I mean, we just heard it in the statement there, thinking about other people, wanting other people to be okay as Princess Catherine, telling other people that she's not alone. And the royal family, one of my viewers there, are just asking, how much more can this family take? I mean, there is so much going on for them at the moment right now.
There is, and I think the shock is because we've always thought of the Princess of Wales as being the very embodiment of good health. Such a sporty woman, never really had any health issues, any medical issues in her life, apart from, of course, having acute morning sickness when she was pregnant. But otherwise, we always saw her as being in rude health. And then when we heard about her admission to hospital 3 weeks after her last public appearance at Christmas Day, we were told at the time that it wasn't a cancerous issue, her abdominal surgery. It was only, of course, in the pre-operative state of testing that this cancer was found out. So for all of us, we're in great shock, particularly, of course, because it's a double whammy with His Majesty also undergoing chemotherapy. But as Cameron said, you know, we must take some comfort from the fact that the Princess of Wales says that she's feeling well. The treatment of cancer today is has improved in leaps and bounds over recent years and decades. You know, 1 in every 2 of us these days, unfortunately, is going to experience cancer of some form. I doubt there's a single viewer who doesn't know somebody in their family or close circle who has been affected by cancer. And luckily, people are living and surviving for much longer. And certainly the fact that we know that this is preventative chemotherapy that Her Royal Highness is going through should give us a little bit of comfort, I hope.
Now, though, Rafe Hedelman-Koo, thank you for your time. So many of you are getting in touch. Again, the overwhelming sentiment is just sending your well wishes. Benita from West Sussex says, I cannot believe what I'm hearing. I just want to say she's a brave lady, giving us a statement about her health. She says that they send their love for a speedy recovery to Catherine, to William, and to all of the children. I mean, there's just so much love, honestly, coming through this inbox. You're feeling very, very emotional tonight. Andrew in Scotland says this is absolutely heartbreaking, but I hope this can perhaps be a moment, he says, when the country can press pause and set aside a lot of the nonsense, his words, that seems to divide us at the moment. And can we all come together and understand that life and good health and all the rest of it is important? He says, God bless everybody, and please tell Princess Catherine she has the love of a nation behind her. That's Andrew from Scotland. You can be part of this conversation tonight. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you can reach me this evening. I'm joined now by the former Northern Ireland Secretary and friend of the Middleton family, Sean Woodward. Good evening to you, Sean. Your reaction to this shocking news tonight?
Well, I think like everybody across the country, I'm deeply saddened to hear that Kate has done what is the most extraordinary broadcast in admitting that she has cancer this evening. I think all of us, you're absolutely right, Michelle, we're united in sending her love and to her family best wishes. This is a terrible thing to happen to anyone, to any family. As you've observed, it happens to 1 in 2 people eventually in the country. But I think, you know, what is really extraordinary tonight is, and I think it's a defining moment inside our royal family. It's a very personal moment too, but it's a defining moment because what Kate has done with her family is to make this announcement. It's not been made on her behalf. She's done it in effectively a broadcast to the nation. Everyone has broadcast it. But the most powerful thing of all was that statement at the end. I think everybody feels love and compassion for her. There's no question about that. But the extraordinary last part of that broadcast where she says, there are other people out there going through this. There is hope. You are not alone. For the Princess of Wales to use the power of her office through the personal statement that she made tonight, I think is going to change things in this country. It's going to change a lot of things about the way we think about cancer, talk about cancer. She shared this terrible diagnosis for herself with everyone. She's asked for privacy, and I hope everyone gives her that. But I have a friend today who was diagnosed with cancer and began her treatment for breast cancer at the Royal Marsden. And that wonderful friend, who's been a friend in my life for 30, 40 years, has her own journey to make. And I have no doubt that tonight, my friend hearing the Princess of Wales say that will have landed in her heart in a very special way, as it's doing across the nation. It's truly one of the most extraordinary pieces of video that we could have had tonight. Utterly amazing.
Indeed. As you say, and I think we really all echo this sentiment here, that we are just united at this moment. And also, Sean, I mean, you are a friend of the Middleton family. You know, I don't think you mind me saying that. And the positivity really kind of came through on this statement to us from Catherine there. The positivity, that the messages that she's sending her children, that she's well, that mummy's going to, you know, essentially get through this, that she's focusing on all of the important important things: the mind, the body, the spirit. And keeping up that positivity is incredibly important, isn't it?
You know, this doesn't take away one bit from the importance of all our love and best wishes and well wishes going to Kate. And my goodness, if well wishes could be your medicine, Kate has enough medicine in those well wishes across the country tonight to take her to the moon and back. But the extraordinary thing is that she's used this not just for herself, she's used it to help other people. We know that when people are given a terrible diagnosis like cancer, that it is one of the most devastating things they can possibly imagine. But what Kate did tonight was to pick them up and hold her next to them and say, you're not alone. Because when you get a diagnosis like this, you think, why me? You think very much, I'm alone. And what Kate has done tonight is to use this to talk to the country. And I think it is truly a remarkable thing to have done. And of course we wish her well. But it also means that I think about her as the future Princess of Wales and future Queen with William as King one day, hopefully not for a long time. But my goodness, if we can see a woman like that using a terrible moment inside her family to want to reach out and help anyone with a diagnosis, anyone told that they have this, and to remind them they're not alone, you see what an incredible person she has become. It's utterly, I think, breathtaking to see how brilliant and selfless this person has been tonight. And you're right, Michelle, in wanting to say, let's take this and hope it unites the nation. If you can't be united behind this woman tonight, I don't know what you can unite behind. She's been incredible.
And I can tell you that sentiment really, really is echoed among all of my viewers right now. But for now, Sean Woodward, thank you very much for your
Thank you very much.
Also, as well, I must thank my panel this evening, Jonathan Liss and Daniel Moylan. Thank you for your company, your reflections and your thoughts this evening. You can keep in contact with me tonight. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you do this. Janet on Twitter and X says, I'm absolutely devastated for Princess Catherine. She's so brave to make that statement, and I wish her a speedy recovery. If you are just joining us, I will take a moment to play for you the message that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has for you this evening.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
You're really not alone, and so many of you are appreciating that message tonight and those sentiments that have been shared. You can get in touch with me as well to share some of your thoughts. gbviews@gbnews.com is how you reach me tonight. Peter, one of my viewers, has done just that. He says, I'm watching the show tonight with tears in my eyes. He says, I will admit I'm 68 and hardly anything can make me cry, but this still has. He sends his love and regards to Princess Catherine. Alongside me now is GB News presenter Mark Dolan. Good evening to you. Your reaction to this shocking news tonight?
Well, it's devastating, and this is the second major royal that has received a cancer diagnosis. And any illness is serious, and we knew that what Catherine was going through was serious before the revelation that cancer is involved. I mean, we knew in January that when this procedure was happening that we wouldn't see her in public life again until after Easter. So something serious was going on. But that word, the C word, cancer, has such symbolism, doesn't it? It's just a word that sends a shiver down your spine, and it's troubling to anyone that gets that diagnosis. Of course, mercifully, it's not a death sentence anymore, but it's still a deadly serious disease. And it's shocking that someone so fit, young and vital should be affected. I mean, I've been thinking about Catherine this afternoon, this evening, and she's a figure of superlatives, isn't she? She's one of the most beautiful women in the world. She's one of the best known, most famous women in the world. And she's one of the most beloved member, if not the most beloved member of the royal family. She's box office. She hasn't put a foot wrong since entering the family. She's had a flawless public record, and I think that's why people are so shocked, so taken aback by this news, because it's a reminder that, yes, she's a remarkable figure, but she's a human being, and like all of us, she's frail. And, I don't know what you thought about her appearance in the video. I think she delivered her statement with such dignity and class, but she's clearly been through a lot. You can see the toll it's taken on her. She's very pale, she's lost weight, and it's just to see that video is enough to make you realise how serious this is.
Yeah, and I think things like this, I think they just stop you in your tracks, really, don't they? Because everyone just gets, I mean, we all do it, don't we? We get consumed into our own lives and everything that's going on. Sometimes we get distracted with this, with that, with the other. And then when someone that you feel like you know, and we had this conversation, that you feel like you know the royal family, you feel connected to the royal family. So this news, it does just stop you in your tracks. One of my viewers, Sue, says, God bless you. She says, we love you, Catherine. My heart feels broken tonight. She says, please do get better soon. She says, we love you. This sentiment is coming through thick and fast. Who's this here? Real you say, please, can you pass on our love and best wishes to Princess Catherine, Prince William, and to their lovely, lovely family. Lots of you, Linda, saying this has affected us so much. It's a shock. Thank you for sending us this message. She is the most extraordinary person, and we hold her in our hearts. She says, oh, honestly, Cameron, it really is. People, I remember when our Queen died. I remember. And up until that point, I'd never really would have thought that I'd have ever become emotional about anything like that. And I remember it stopping me in my tracks, and I remember it really making me cry. And this is the sentiment that so many people are saying tonight. And of course, I mean, we need to get a sense of perspective here. Princess Catherine, she's sending a very positive, upbeat, strong message. I am going to get well. I've communicated to my children. I'm going to focus on my health, myself, my mind, my body, my spirit. She's fighting this, and hopefully will, continue with the best health possible.
Yeah, she absolutely is. And as you've just read out, Michelle, our GB News viewers clearly are just so emotional by this news and truly shocked by the Princess of Wales's cancer diagnosis. And of course, the Princess is the most popular member of the royal family if you go by the latest YouGov polls and different polling. So I think that's why perhaps it's hit home. But also just echoing what Sean Woodward said a little bit earlier on, he described it as a defining moment, the fact that the Princess has decided to speak on camera directly to the British public almost like a broadcast. Well, it was a broadcast, but speaking directly to everybody in their own individual homes. So her message isn't mistranslated by a statement from her communications team or from a palace and being behind closed walls. She would have been very aware of the speculation over the last few months. And I think it just shows how personable the princess is. And this statement was strong. It was clearly emotional, but it was powerful as well. And you heard it from the horse's mouth, you heard it from herself, how much she wants to protect her children, her family, and that she wants privacy at this time to clearly recover and focus on herself.
Is it regrettable that she felt that she needed to make the video, that a statement wouldn't be enough?
Well, I don't think everything would have been done on her own terms. If she didn't want to do a video, she wouldn't have done it. And we were discussing in the first hour since this news broke about the communication strategy of Kensington Palace and whether it was a good thing or a bad thing to release the photograph or a video or whatever. And I think we need to remember that they are going to be taking their lead from the Prince and Princess of Wales, their principles. And Catherine would have wanted to do that video, otherwise she wouldn't have done it. And clearly we've seen from the messages flooding into our inbox here at GB News just how touched the British public are by the princess deciding to sit down and do this video. But I think in return, the princess will want to be left alone to rest, recuperate and recover and get treatments in private. We know that the timescale that Kensington Palace gave us back in January, that we would be seeing the princess after Easter back on public engagements. It looks like that's a bit of a grey area now. I know for a fact William and the 3 children will not be at the St George's Chapel service in Windsor on Easter Sunday. We don't have a definite date as to when the princess will be back on public engagements, although I do understand that if she feels fit and able to, she may decide to go to the odd engagements here and there, but nothing is guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, you just mentioned the children there. I mean, there is a huge outpouring of love and support and everything from everybody tonight, but ultimately she might be the Princess of Hearts, she might be the People's Princess, all of the lovely tributes that people have been sending in to me tonight, but ultimately, to 3 little children, she's just mummy. And they are, you know, so young, 10, 8 and 5. And I mean, you know, we've got children. Yeah. The thought of sitting your children down and having to tell them that mummy or daddy are not quite ill and not quite well, and granddad as well. Even for those children, this is a huge amount to process.
Well, indeed, and it comes back to the cancer diagnosis, because this looks, hopefully, to have been caught early, that the chemotherapy is preventative, but it's just not a disease that you can underplay. Even to your own children, you can't just say, nothing to see here, folks. You have to convey to the children that mummy is not well, and it's been quite serious what she's been going through, but she's going to be okay. How you navigate that with children, let alone grown-up loved ones in your life, is one of the big challenges, you know, and that's why it has to be handled so delicately. I mean, one question I've got for you, Michelle, is whether you think that this video will now end the speculation about her condition, her welfare, her whereabouts, all the rest of it.
Do you know, I hope so. I hope so, because ultimately, you know, I mean, what more? And this is such a balance to kind of strike, because on the one hand, people will say, well, it's the royal family. It was a role that was chosen. So they will say Kate Middleton, as she was then, she chose this position, she chose this platform, and ultimately she chose the scrutiny. So then there'll be that side of the argument, but then the other side of the argument will be, and I kind of straddle the two, I guess, because I understand that people want to know some information, but this whole kind of notion of, you know, should we be entitled to know exactly what cancer, what stage of cancer, where is this cancer? Because to me, you know, yes, she plays a very important, a much loved public role, but she is mummy. I mean, a viewer here, Caroline, has just got in touch saying, I just feel like I want to reach out to be part of the conversation. She says, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, a similar age to Princess Catherine. Just a reminder there, Princess Catherine is 42 years of age. And the viewer here, Caroline, says, I had to try and talk to my very young children and tell them that mummy was sick and had to undergo chemotherapy. She says, I must say to everybody, the most important thing Catherine needs right now is privacy and time to deal with this. Caroline goes on to say that I am well after 17 years now, and thank goodness for that. She says, but I can totally relate to this. It's trauma and it's tough, but she can get through it, but she needs us all to give her time and space. Caroline, thank you for sharing your experience, and we're very pleased that you are well. And, you know, we've just touched on how many people are touched and how many families are touched by cancer.
Yeah.
And this is what is coming through thick and fast, and so many people feel connected at a more deeper level now with Catherine.
Indeed, and it's a reminder, Michelle, that cancer afflicts all ages.
It does.
And, you know, you often link it to lifestyle, lung cancer. I've lost family members to lung cancer. They were smokers, other lifestyle-related issues. But cancer can also just strike you at any time. Teenagers get it. And by all accounts, Princess Catherine, a very healthy woman in the prime of life, has received this diagnosis. So, yes, it's the great leveller. We can just hope and pray, like your viewers are saying on email, that she'll make a speedy recovery. The well of goodwill towards her is absolutely unlimited. And on my show in the last few weeks, when we debating that, I was on air when the news broke that the Mother's Day photograph had been pulled by several major news agencies. Immediately, my viewers were saying, leave the woman alone, stop talking about this, let her recover.
Those agencies were so dramatic, the way they did that. I remember seeing all of the news alerts flash. It was like a kill notification or whatever it was got. It was like, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. Who doesn't even edit? I mean, I'm not suggesting that you don't look the same as your social media profile.
Oh, how dare you, Michelle.
Who
It's all
doesn't
smoke and
edit
mirrors.
their pictures in this day and age? But yet the standards that we seem to be holding these people to is so different. Anna has got in touch. She says, can I just say, Michelle, what a brave, brave woman Catherine is to sit there and open her heart about her medical condition. I've never been so impressed by a statement of such personal details, and it just shows how strong she is, and we all should be so very proud of her. You are absolutely very welcome to join in our conversation tonight. GBViews@gbnews.com is how you reach me and be part of this. All your thoughts are welcome tonight. If you have just joined us, I will just take a moment to play for you a video message that we've just been discussing there from the Princess of Wales. Catherine, to you.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
You're certainly not alone. I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you're here with us on GB News. You can join the conversation tonight, GB Views at gbnews.com. I know that many of you are very, very shocked and saddened by this news today. So many people getting in touch. The tears are flowing. She is an angel and we love her so, so much. Actually, the Church of England, they have issued a prayer for the Princess of Wales. It says, "Gracious God, we pray for the continued recovery of the Princess of Wales, for her husband and for their family. Grant to them and to all who are affected by sickness, faith, hope, and the knowledge of your love through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen." So many tributes are coming in from everyone that you would imagine, all of the political leaders, from you at home as well. I've read to you already Rishi Sunak's sentiments, Keir Starmer's sentiments as well. Nigel Farage, he's been tweeting today, awful news, he says, to hear that the Princess of Wales is having cancer treatment. He says the media who attacked her over the recent photograph should hang their heads in shame. Sadiq Khan, he also sending out a message as well. He says, on behalf of Londoners, I wish the Princess of Wales a swift recovery as she undergoes treatment. My thoughts are with her and her family. Cancer has an impact on so many of us, and her bravery in sharing her diagnosis will help raise awareness and encourage others to get checked. Will it? When you hear the news of this, because of course, you'll be familiar by now, of course, with the fact that our King, he shared, didn't he, private medical information initially about an enlarged prostate. And if you recall there, he very much said that the reason that he was sharing that news was because he wanted to encourage people to go out and to get checked and all the rest of it. And this is one of the things, Mark, that Sadiq Khan is picking up on, that actually this openness will perhaps encourage others to go and get checked.
Well, definitely, and it was so unprecedented when the King revealed his cancer diagnosis, and we were in a similar state of shock then. The only way that you can compare the two cases is that Catherine is a lot younger than Charles, and older men do suffer from conditions like prostate cancer or cancer related to prostate problems. But I think that this is the new look royal family post-Elizabeth, you know, that they are more open, that they're willing to be perceived as fragile human beings that can get ill like the rest of us. And I think they will do the cause of cancer a great service with their openness at this time. I mean, I understand that men getting their prostates checked out something like quadrupled after the King's diagnosis, which will likely have saved lives. And, you know, when we get more information, more detail on what Catherine's been through, then perhaps the cancer that she's been affected by will also get more attention and more public recognition. I mean, it is important. Young women can get cervical cancer and all the rest of it. Very sadly, this disease often goes undiagnosed. In fact, in the case of Jade Goody, the reality star, she passed away with cervical cancer, and that had gone undiagnosed. So yes, I think the royal family, it's a different approach, but it's a positive one because it's about educating everybody in relation to the threat of this disease.
Indeed. Well, I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by Dr. Frankie Spence. She's a clinical research doctor in oncology. Good evening to you, Doctor. One of the things we've just been touching on there is the sense that by opening up like this, Princess Catherine will inspire more people to actually go and perhaps look again at things that they might have noticed in their own health.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, Kate said in her speech that she was undergoing a procedure and the sample was found to have cancer in it. So that indicates that they weren't originally doing the procedure with a known cancer diagnosis in mind. And I think it's a great thing that they're sharing this information publicly because so many cancer patients feel really alone and they feel like their bodies let them down. But we know that 1 in 2 people will unfortunately develop cancer in our lifetime. And I think this really shows that it affects many more of us and people aren't alone with that.
Yeah, and for anyone that's just tuning in, when you listen to the message that I've just actually played, I mean, I have to be clear, the palace and the royal family have made it very clear that they will not be releasing any more information in terms of what type of cancer or what stage of cancer or any further information, actually, about the treatment. They want Princess Catherine's privacy to be respected, and many people will absolutely concur with that. But one of the things that Princess Catherine actually said herself within this video was that she's undergoing a course of preventative chemotherapy. She's in the early stages of that treatment. For anyone unfamiliar with what that is, can you just help people understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes when we undergo procedures for cancer, such as surgery or other treatments such as radiotherapy, you can give a course of chemotherapy after the surgery to reduce the risk of the cancer cells coming back. So even though the bulk of the cancer has been removed through that surgical procedure, there's always a chance that some cancer cells may have escaped and are kind of lingering in the blood or other parts of the body that are so small that you can't see them on a scan or through surgery. And so you can give some chemotherapy, which is given systemically, so through an infusion through the vein, to mop up any potential cancer cells that could have escaped and to reduce the likelihood of the cancer coming back in the future. So it is quite common practice.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's Dr. Frankie Spence there. Thank you for your insight. One of my viewers, Steve in Devon, says, Michelle, this is being felt by people the world over. His American friends have been sending him messages about how shocked and upset they are. He says they absolutely love her. Pam in Weybridge, she says, can I get in touch, please, to give my love and my support to this remarkable young woman. She is in my prayers, as will indeed her whole family be. She says, I am a survivor of cancer treatment myself. My heart goes out to her. She says her bravery in giving us this video news tonight will give so many people hope and courage, as it has to me, she says. We love you, Catherine, and we wish you well from the bottom of our hearts. That's our viewer there, Pam in Weybridge. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Cameron, you mentioned as well that we've received a statement from the King earlier. Just remind us what that said.
Yes, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson. So His Majesty and the spokesperson says, so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Of course, they were both in hospital at the same time. He was undergoing treatment for an enlarged prostate as she was recovering from her abdominal surgery at the London clinic. And the spokesperson says, following their time in hospital together, His Majesty has remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Both their Majesties, that's the King and Queen, will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family through this difficult time. And speaking of the whole family in the difficult time, I think we need to perhaps spare a thought for Prince William here, whose father has not only been diagnosed with cancer, but now his wife has as well. And he is going to have to balance looking after his wife, his 3 young children, all 10 and under, as well as carry out his constitutional duties as heir apparent, future king, with his father also having cancer. So we're told by Kensington Palace that he's going to balance his role, much like he has done over the last few months following the princess's abdominal surgery, where he will spend a lot of time clearly behind the scenes supporting his family, but he will be doing odd engagements as well, but perhaps not as many as we would otherwise expect him to be carrying out.
Yeah, and you see, that is the thing, because there's going to be so much kind of speculation. When's she going to return to duties? What's she going to do? You know what? Whenever she's good and ready. Yeah. Quite frankly, because yes, OK, she has a royal role, and yes, she's loved by many, and yes, she's going to be wanted to be seen by many. But first and foremost, she's an individual, she's a mummy, she's a wife. And as she says in her statement, her primary focus right now is on getting her strength back, her mind, her body, her soul, focusing on being well. She says, I am well. I'm getting stronger every single day. And I mean, she really has just touched so many people. You'll see it yourself, Mark. The viewers just getting in touch and just say, thank you for sharing this. You've given I've just read out the viewer there that's given courage and hope to them, to the viewers too.
Yes, I mean, she's a princess, one of the most famous people in the world, one of the most beautiful women in the world, and they're confirmed by our brilliant royal expert that actually she's the most popular royal as well. Interesting that Cameron points that out. But she's very human. Part of me feels sad that she had to go on camera to make that statement and that a written statement wouldn't be enough. But I think it's a legacy of the Mother's Day photograph, which, like you say, perhaps the news agencies overreacted to it. But what it did is it set speculation rife about her condition, her whereabouts, her welfare. And that was at the root of why I think this video happened today, is a desire to kill the rumours, to end the conspiracy theories, and to lay it out that this is what she's going through.
Yeah, and just for the avoidance of doubt, actually, I'm told that no edits, this is from the Press Association, no edits were made to the video message that we've just seen from the Princess of Wales.
What a sad state of affairs, though, that people are already starting to consider, or was it edited? I mean, it's a bit... I actually think that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
That's actually made me quite sad that they feel the need to issue a statement saying, essentially, that's an authentic message, and just to preempt what everyone's going to do, we're going to kind of head that off the pass. This is an unedited message.
Yeah.
What a sad state of affairs.
And at the heart of this is a 42-year-old mother of 3 young children who's recently been diagnosed with cancer and is undergoing treatment.
One of my viewers, Clive, he's just been in touch saying, Michelle, a few weeks ago I was given the all clear from having lung cancer. He says, my heart goes out to the Princess and to William and to the kids. He says, I just want to tell everyone there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, indeed there is. If you are just joining us, I'll bring you up to speed, because Catherine, the Princess of Wales, she has issued a video message to all of you. She wants to update you on her situation. In a second, I shall hand over to Mark Dolan, my colleague, for him to pick up. But for now, thank you for your company, and I shall leave you to listen to her message.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment, but most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them, and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
The Princess of Wales there, making a statement today regarding her cancer diagnosis. Let's get further reaction from royal journalist and broadcaster Pandora Forsyth. Pandora, your reaction to this news, did you see this coming?
Yeah, terribly, terribly sad news in this evening. There's been so much speculation online, and really quite some horrible parts of the internet have come out. And now we've seen this video message. Well, I hope that will stop the trolling that has been so prevalent over the past couple of months or so. Terribly sad news, and I don't want to focus on that, but I do think it is important to note the Princess of Wales being so open as the whole world has been looking at her as what it seems through a microscope with everything the royal family are doing at the moment. And in this message, despite the fact that she has had this terribly sad news in, she's evidently made very clear now she wants privacy, and that's something that we should respect, and the space and time for her to go through this preventative chemotherapy, which she's now in the early stages of getting.
Well, she has requested privacy. Will she get it, Pandora?
I hope so. I really do, and I'm sure that the Prince of Wales will very much be by her side. The King has released a statement as well this evening, speaking about his beloved daughter-in-law and how brave she is for opening up about this, and how brave she is opening up about this on camera as well, and being so open about it, and extremely private health diagnosis, which anyone, there are 3 million people right now in the UK with cancer, and she has been so open about this. She didn't have to be. I just want to make that clear. She did not have to be. It's her health diagnosis, but she's decided to be open about it. And, our thoughts are with her and the family, and of course her young children, who she has said that's essentially her priority, and having to explain this to them. I think anybody who's been affected by cancer will wholeheartedly agree just how difficult that has to be, dealing with yourself on a worldwide stage, but also having to break it to your loved ones as well. It's just heartbreaking.
What did you make of her delivery of this statement? I mean, a written statement would have been the norm. Why do you think she decided to make this film, and how hard do you think it was for her to make it in the first place?
Extremely difficult. I mean, you can tell from the way that she stops and looks down and really tries to, compose herself and say what she really does feel the need to share. And as I said, she didn't need to share as much as she did. She's commenting on her young children there too, extremely close to her heart. And she knows that this message will have hit every single newspaper, broadcast outlet, radio station, wherever you're listening. She knows that will have gone everywhere within the minute of it being released. It's an extremely pressured environment, I imagine. As she said, she's looking after her mind as well at the moment, as well as physically, evidently, by getting this preventative chemotherapy, which she's now in the early stages of getting. And of course, when you're getting chemotherapy, we don't know the ins and outs of it. And of course, she's more than entitled to keep that to herself. And I don't think we would need to know, to be quite frank, but not a lot of people would be very comfortable with being on camera and being so open about it if they knew it was on a worldwide stage. So, credit to her. And she's evidently got the support of all her family around her, the King as well as her husband, who she said, being by her side throughout all of this is bringing great comfort to her. But now she needs time, understandably, to rest and recoup and go through this awfully sad time. But I'm sure she is stressed to her children as well that she is well despite all of this.
Pandora Forsyth, royal author, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Let me tell you that with us is our royal correspondent Cameron Walker. and also my Friday friends for Friday Night Live, a much more sombre edition of the show this evening. I'm delighted to have comedian Sajeela Kershi and the barrister and broadcaster Jerry Hayes. Sajeela, your reaction to this news?
It's absolutely shocking, because I heard it just before I left home to come here today. And actually everything makes sense. I think any family in the country will have been affected by cancer, and the way that she's reacted actually makes perfect sense. I had a scare a few years ago. You want to think about your family, how to break it to them, so you want that privacy. You also, you need to keep she kept saying about being positive, and that's absolutely right. You have to keep a positive outlook. I think she gave a really good message out to all those who are suffering. But yeah, absolutely shocked. And, we just hope that she gets better.
Most definitely. Jerry, this has just shocked a nation, really, hasn't it? We knew that Catherine was quite unwell. The procedure happened in January. We were told she'd be out of action till Easter. So something serious was happening. But that word, cancer, just has strong resonance, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it's weird how it affects us all. I just come back from a very good lunch with Robert Powell. Do you remember Jesus Christ?
Wonderful actor.
Oh, great. He's 80.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. And I was coming back with a spring in my step. I'm going to see all my friends on this programme. We're going to have a bit of a laugh because it's Friday evening. And suddenly your producer rang me up and said, Kate has got cancer.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds so creepy and stupid, but I did shed a tear.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know her. I suspect that's how it's going to affect the nation. I suppose the next thing is something Cameron will be thinking about. How is it going to affect Prince Harry? How is it going to affect the royal family? Could this bring them together? Could this be the moment?
What do you think about that? I mean, if this doesn't cause the ice caps to melt, nothing will, surely.
Well, I suspect, to be honest, I think whatever Prince Harry and Meghan do, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. I suspect they probably would reach out in private, although we've had no confirmation of that, giving a big statement, wishing them all the best. Clearly, lots of people would just say they're trying to attract attention for themselves. So I think it is a tricky situation for them. As for the other members of the royal family, we have had a statement from a Buckingham Palace spokesperson around an hour ago now, saying that His Majesty is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did, following their time in hospital together, because, of course, we had the King and the Princess in hospital at the same time. His Majesty has remained in closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the past weeks. Both the King and the Queen will continue to offer their love and support to the whole family through this difficult time. And it is a difficult time for the royal family. 3 cancer diagnoses, plus the very sad death of Thomas Kingston as well.
Indeed, it's been a very, very tough time for the family. Well, we now have a reaction from GB News star Nigel Farage. Take a listen.
Well, I suspect my reaction was the same as a huge number of people. I felt really quite emotional about it and genuinely quite upset. Here's a young mother with 3 kids, beautiful woman, doing an amazing job for the country. I mean, she's the best of the royals. And I just felt very sad, very emotional. And it's funny, but we live our lives through the royal family. Michael Cole said this a couple of years ago on GB News. And any happiness or sadness in the royal family reminds us of things in our lives that have gone well or gone badly. So, yeah, I'm really upset.
Well, indeed, we're going to be processing this news for a long time to come. What do you make, Sajeela, of the Princess of Wales's decision to make a video rather than just issue a written statement?
I think that's very courageous. I agree with her, the King, the father-in-law, because it actually connects with us in a different way than an impersonal email or a press release. So I think that was actually a very brave thing to do, because you have to come to terms with a diagnosis like that yourself.
Yeah.
That takes time in itself, and then you obviously to relate to loved ones, but to tell the whole world, I think that was incredibly courageous of her to do that. Obviously, like I said, it's not just her being affected, but the fact that she has mentioned it, she has talked about it, I think is going to help others in similar situations.
Jerry, Cameron Walker earlier was saying that actually Princess of Wales is the most popular royal according to recent polls. Well, public support for her is going to go into the stratosphere now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And rightly so. It's just so sad. We have those pictures there, which we can see on the screen. And the big deal was, oh, had they been manipulated in any way? Some people might say they had been, but at the end of the day, she has come forward, as did the King, and said, we have got a problem with cancer. No royal members of the family have said that before.
Well, most definitely. It is truly extraordinary. And this news will be weighing heavily, Cameron Walker, on the mind of the King.
Yes, it certainly will be, and clearly His Majesty was informed before the public announcements at 6 o'clock this evening, and he will have some idea of what Catherine's going through, because he himself, of course, is continuing treatments for cancer himself. Slightly different situation, of course. His Majesty is head of state. He is carrying on with constitutional duties, and there is more of a legitimate public interest to know what's going on with the health of the monarch. But with the princess, she didn't have to release a statement if she didn't want to, but she chose to, and in a personable way, in the form of directly speaking to GB News viewers and listeners and other members of the British public as well, rather than releasing a statement. It was her words, the way she wanted to deliver them, and I think that's very courageous.
But it's Camilla who is running. Queen Camilla is running the firm. And that's amazing, because a few years ago, she was regarded as a bad woman. Now she is effectively in charge, isn't she?
And of course, like all senior members of the royal family, her role will be pivotal going forward, because it is a trauma for the royal family. It's a trauma for Princess Catherine herself, the Princess of Wales, and a trauma for the country. We've had so many emails, gbviews@gbnews.com or mark@gbnews.com. We'll be covering this story non-stop for the next hour. It is 8 o'clock. This is Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan. And we start the show tonight with the video message the Princess of Wales released at 6 p.m. this evening. Take a listen.
I wanted to take